Ashley, your scrapping nerd, and I'm back today with a layout for Scraplift Crafternoon. It's Sunday, so it's where a bunch of us crafty peeps get together and we scraplift an amazing layout. And today we are scraplifting one of our very own, Shala. It's her birthday month, so happy birthday. And she picked the beautiful layout at the top of the video that we all are scraplifting. And so I pulled in some Paige Evans Happy Haven that I have, along with some Echo Park Life is Beautiful. And I got this in my creative scrapbook kit. And so it's very flowery. And so I had to find some pictures to go with it that, because I love Paige Evans. She does beautiful papers, but it's always a lot of flowers. And so I pulled in the ephemera as well, and then the Life is Beautiful just to add some little sayings to it. And so this page I am gutting, and it is going to be what I mat my layout in. And I had pulled in two options for the little strips that Shala had on hers. She actually did multiple patterns, and I originally was just going to pick one of the papers and just have the one pattern. And then I picked this from the Paige Evans collection because I thought that it kind of would read as a neutral backed with all of the patterns that are going to be on here and all the floral that I add to it. And I liked that they were horizontal stripes. And so I'm going to get this mounted to that back paper. And then I wanted to have the paper that I used for the layout mat to be the main focus paper that's on the front that my picture will sit on and that my strips will sit on. And so I cut this, and I originally was going to do it horizontal with the horizontal lines and then cut my strips and do everything horizontal, but you'll see I couldn't make it work, and so it was really bugging me. And once I turned it around, I decided that I liked it better. But I wanted to get my pictures ready, and I had 3 pictures, and I really tried to make the 3 pictures work. And these are pictures of the beautiful blooming trees in New York City, and I just love that it's like this beautiful nature, and then in the background is just city. And so that's why there's 3 of them. I had 2 of the tree, and then I had one where it was just looking through the trees at the skyscrapers. And so that's the picture that actually in the end is going to get taken off, and I will only have the 2 photos of the trees. And so I turned that back paper vertical, and I liked that better. And so here I decided I was going to take this Paige Evans paper, and I was going to cut the strips that are kind of already built into the pattern. I liked the idea because I didn't want to cut a whole bunch of patterns. I just was going to have the one pattern in strips. And so I originally was going to put them horizontal to go with the horizontal of the paper. And so you can see here I'm laying them out, and I wasn't really enjoying this much either. I thought, well, the strips are kind of too big, and it doesn't have that cluster effect that Shala had on her layout. So then I just decided, okay, I'm going to take them and I'm going to cut them in half. And so that helped make it look more clustery. I don't know a better term for it. More clustery for the strips as opposed to just blocks of strips. And I think that was closer to what she did on her layout. And so this was the idea where I was going. And then I was like, okay, I think that's going to work, but let's distress my paper. So I went through and I distressed I distressed all of this paper and every single one of the strips that I cut. And I think that this just helped because I didn't know that, like, the Paige Evans paper, the strips that I cut, they kind of were on a diagonal, some of them. And so parts of them, if you look really closely, they're thicker on one end than the other. It wasn't so much of a diagonal that it's unpleasing to the eye, or you look at it and you're like, man, this girl can't cut a straight line. So but it still was just a little wonky. So I thought, well, if I distress the edges, then that kind of adds to the wonky, and then everything looks like it's intentional. And then I cut the ends of the strips off because I didn't want them to end in a white color, since they were more likely going to end on the back paper, and I thought that it would blend too much. And so here's where I flipped vertical, and I liked that much better. And then I got all of the strips kind of lined out, and I'm still convinced that I'm going to do these 3 photos, but then when I put the 3 photos on there, it covers up the back paper and the strips. So it's like, kind of like, what is the point then of having all this work behind it? So I got rid of that photo and decided to do just the 2 photos of the beautiful tree here. And I like that much better. But then I thought, okay, I need some contrast. And so the back of the strips actually have this pink floral pattern to them. So I just decided to flip every other one of the strips, and I'm like, okay, that's better. I like that. And so that took a little while to try to get this part figured out in a way that I liked it. And so, of course, I think that my photos kind of blend in, so I am going to back them just with a white photo mat just to separate them out. And as always, I just pulled in some of my scrap, I call them scrap, but 6x8 photo pads that I never use, and just use the back of them as my white photo mat. And I got those all stuck down and was finally happy with that. But then I wanted my strips to look a little more haphazard, and so I just gave them a little haircut here and there. And I tried not to let the strips that have the stripes on them end in the white. I wanted that to end with a color, especially if it ended on that back page there. And so I got all that, and then because I cut them, I'll go back through and distress the edges of the ones that I cut. And so I finally got this part. This was a lot of thinking. I don't think that it should have been this difficult, like just cut some strips and put them down, but for some reason I could not get this the way that I wanted it or something. I'm not sure, but I like how it turned out in the end, but it definitely took way longer than it should have. And you guys should be happy for the edited video, so you're not just sitting here for 10 hours watching me move strips of paper around, because I obsessed a little bit too much on this one. But again, like I said, I really like it, and of course Shayla's layout is gorgeous, and so it all works out in the end. But sometimes it's just funny about the things that I obsess about. But now I wanted to get the embellishments in, and I don't really embellish too much on this one because of those strips of paper, I think, and the floral paper, like it's very busy, and so I don't do too much. But there was this like washi sticker border, and so I wanted to put that across there, just kind of as a shelf and an extra little something to go there. And I wasn't going to put a title on this because it's just pictures of the beautiful trees, and it's in the album that's from New York, so I didn't think I was going to need a title. But I thought that the top right over there was just a little boring, so I pulled in some letters. I had these small letters from Paper Studio, which is Hobby Lobby, and they're really tiny and they're kind of puffy. And then I had some Pink Fresh Days of Splendor, and only a few. So I decided to put New York in Bloom as my title. And then I chose the Pink Fresh letters to use for the word bloom. And they're kind of like a pink glittery. And I like that it stands out. And then these little guys here that are the Paper Studio ones, they are just New York and Bloom. And it's funny because they're all in different colors, and so I just picked all the pink ones out, and I at least had the letters I needed in the pink colors left. And they're tiny and they're thick, and so I will use my brayer just to kind of roll over them to make sure that they stick down really well. I use them. I wouldn't say that they're my favorite, but I like that they're tiny, so I use them. But sometimes they fall off, and so I use that brayer to help get them stuck on there. And I go back into all those Paige Evan florals, and I make myself some little clusters in the top left corner and the bottom right of my my photos there. And I just love how beautiful these trees are. The blooms are gorgeous. And so I think that these were perfect photos for this Paige Evans collection. Like I said, I needed something that would work really well with all the floral in this collection, and I think this was a perfect photo way to scrapbook these photos. And then I pulled in just it says bloom where you're planted, and I thought that was perfect because, again, I just am amazed at these beautiful greenery and trees that are just in the middle of all this concrete in New York. And so I feel like they just landed there and they bloomed. And I'm just, I added little flags up at the top right, and then I just went through with all the florals, and I used my stylus and some foam to add some dimension to them, because I don't like when they're so flat on the page. And so I just go over the lines of the leaves, and I go over the parts of the petals just to kind of add some texture to them. And then the leaf was kind of cut wonky, and so I just made that white border a little bit thinner. And so I think just adding those gives those leaves and the petals just a little bit of texture, and they kind of pop off the page. Even when they're in the page protector and it's flat, you can still see the texture that I added to them. And so lastly, I took a frame from the Echo Park Life is Beautiful and cut it in half and just put it around. And this one just says sunshine. Again, that's from the Life is Beautiful collection. And then I had a little bit of that washi sticker left, so I'm gonna put that up at the top just to add it somewhere else on the layout, pile everything on my more is more system here. And I really like how this layout turned out. It's a fun little layout to for those pictures. And so make sure that you go and check out Shayla's links. They're all going to be below for her Instagram and her YouTube. Tell her happy birthday and give her some love and some likes, as well as going on every link there for all my other crafty peeps that are part of Scraplift Crafternoon. Give them all some love and some likes. There is a playlist that's linked below if you want to just click that and grab a cup of coffee and just watch all the amazing things that we do with Shayla's layout. I want to say thank you to everyone that has liked and subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit those buttons below. But I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.